Hey students, this is Ambika, Master Teacher of Biology at Vedantu, and welcome to another session of our Class 10 ICSE one-shot series. So let's get started without wasting any time. Just a few days left for your exams to begin, which is why, as I keep saying, Bio is going to be your very last exam. But before that, I wanted to give you a thorough revision, an overview revision of every single chapter in Bio, so that when you open your Bio books again after a couple of weeks or 3 weeks, or worst case a month from today, you would certainly have some touch with it and wouldn't feel like you're studying something completely foreign. Okay, so let's get started. As always, I love starting with inspiring quotes, and this is what I have to tell you today. Every day, do something that will inch you closer to a better tomorrow. That's amazing, right? Because how do you want tomorrow to be better than today is something that each one of us has to think about for ourselves. What is good for you may not be good for me, and the other way around. What is good for me may not be good for you. Whatever it is up to each one of us to identify our strengths and weaknesses, and whatever it is that we are dreaming of in life, in the long run, or short-term goals, whatever it may be, what is it that I can do right now? What is it that I can do today, so that it will take me closer to what I want to be or where I want to be. Okay, so let us continue. Population and its control, which is a chapter that comes with its own set of terminology, as we know. Now, why is this important? There are 10 basic, very, very important terms that all of you must know, because in your ICSE 10th paper, there is a common type of question which is asked, like give the technical term for, or give the biological term for the following. Or even fill in the blanks with suitable words, with appropriate words. Anything of that sort can come up. So make sure you are familiar with all of these 10 terms. What are they? Let's recap them one by one. Once again, children, I will not be going into details, fine details of each of them, because we've done that already in our regular chapter, population and its control. So those of you who want more detailed explanations of that, please do go and visit the ICSE 10 biology playlist. Find the videos from this chapter. I think this was done over 2 sessions, which would be somewhere towards the end, probably like end of December or beginning of Jan was, I guess, when we did those chapters. Okay, so what is the very first term that you must know? Population, of course. Name of the chapter itself starts with the word population, right? How do you define it? It's a group of organisms of the same species living in an area which can be inbred amongst themselves, right? That is what a population is. It's not a species, it is a population. Once again, a group of organisms of the same species. Within a species, you have a population, a group of people living in the same area, a group of organisms, we would say. Because we are human beings, we tend to say population is a group of people. But then population, the word applies to any living organism for that matter. Okay, now population density. Population density refers to the number of individuals per square kilometer at any given time. One particular area, okay, which we say in like 1 square kilometer is what we consider to be the unit for that. How many individuals occupy that particular area is what tells you how dense that population is. That is what is population density. Okay, and the third term is biotic potential, which is nothing but the capacity of a population to increase under optimum environmental conditions. Optimum environmental conditions, think about what all they can be. When everything else in the environment is optimum or very, very good, can't be better than this. It's optimum. That's what we mean by optimum or optimal environmental conditions. When that is the case, how much does the population have the ability to increase? Once again, capacity of a population to increase under optimum environmental conditions is what is biotic potential. Okay, next is carrying capacity. I think this is simple because the term itself is giving away a gist of what it is. Carrying capacity is basically the maximum limit of an ecosystem that can provide basic needs to a population under certain conditions. Okay, so basically it is the maximum limit that an ecosystem has to carry a population, okay, providing everything that it possibly can. That is carrying capacity. And the next term is demography, which is the statistical study of the human population with reference to size, density, and distribution of population. Statistical study of the human population based on what all? These are the factors which are studied in demography, in the science or in the branch of study which we call demography. Okay, so population, population density, biotic potential, carrying capacity, and demography are the first 5 terms that we have recapped in this chapter. We have 5 more. Let's look at what they are. The first one being census. The 6th one in the chapter being census. The complete study of the human population after every 10 years. If you have close family members who work in the government sector, you might have heard this term a lot of times. Census, the complete study of the human population after every 10 years is what we mean by census. The next one is growth curve. Of course, we know there are 2 types of curves, the J-shaped and the S-shaped curve, right? So what is it? It's basically a graphical representation of population growth pattern. As I said, J-shaped and S-shaped give you an idea about how population is growing in that particular group or in that particular population. Okay, next one, natality. Again, it's a term that can be confused with mortality, but what is natality? It is the number of live births per 1,000 people of the population per year. Okay, that number 1,000 is very important because we can easily get confused and misled to think that it can be 100 or 10,000 or something like that, but no, it's a 4-digit number, 1,000. The number of live births, you must mention that, per 1,000 people of the population per year is natality, which we also call birth rate. In simple terms, we also call it birth rate. Okay, so what is the opposite of this? It is mortality. The number of deaths, again, per 1,000 people of the population per year. There it's live births and here it is deaths that we are talking about. And the last most important term is growth rate, which again pretty much tells you what it is. What is it? Growth rate is the difference between birth rate and death rate, because how many individuals are being born into this population and how many are dying. The difference between that gives you an estimate of how much the population is growing. Growth rate of a population is hence this. It can be positive, it can be negative in certain cases, but yes, this is basically the idea of growth rate. Okay, and with that, let's get reminded of the micro courses. Once again, exams are just round the corner and micro courses here are available to you again at flat ₹1. So children, pick the micro courses of your choice from the 2,000 plus options that we have. All you have to do is visit the micro course section in the Vedantu website and you can check out directly from the link given below in the description box. Also, pick from your favorite teachers and pick from the list of your favorite teachers' courses and also your most difficult courses, whatever it is that you would like to get extra help for. That is why we have micro courses available at absolutely pocket-friendly rates. Okay, so with that, let's continue. Human population growth. We know this is a major problem, especially in developing countries like India. What are the causes for it? What are the consequences of it? Of course, these are things that you can think about on your own and come up with a lot of stories by yourselves about why this happens and what happens if there is too much of population growth, population explosion as we call it. But then just to give you an idea, a quick overview, I have put it out here. There are a lot of reasons such as new technology, more agricultural production, decline in death rates because of better medical care, also better sanitation, all of that interconnected, right? Which is why you see all these arrows going from one to the other, right? And then of course birth rates remain high. Basically you can say decline in death rates and increase in birth rates are the two major reasons for population explosion. But why do they happen? That is why we have all these listed out. Okay, so historic need for farm labor, and then restrictions on women's rights, prohibitions on birth control, all of these are reasons for high birth rates. Okay, that is about a summary of the causes of population explosion. And now moving on to the consequences. What possibly happens if there is population explosion? Now, well, again, you can say more agricultural production, all of that is there, but more waste and pollution, denser populations, war, conflict and refugees, and then of course all of these together, economic loss, health impact, social disruption, more fossil fuel use, a lot of stress on, you know, a lot of competition for the available fossil fuels and all other resources which are available, right? And then more resource extraction, manufacturing and consumption, and of course global climate change. We know it's a major problem. Loss of biodiversity and ecosystem services, again, major issue, right? And then more agricultural production, habitat alteration are all smaller but significant problems which arise because of population explosion. Okay, so make sure you have a basic idea about this. As I told you, children, to remember the causes of population explosion, these are the two major things you must remember. Okay, high birth rate, low death rate. But what leads to high birth rate and what leads to low death rate is what you need to think secondarily on. Okay, that will help you list out a lot of points as required. Okay, and that brings us to the end of human population growth. And of course, now what are the solutions? As biology students, we need to be aware about the different birth control methods and also spread awareness about it to people around, so that we can put a check, bring a check on how population can be controlled. Okay, so these are the major or most popularly used birth control methods. As you can see, the different types of condoms, the pills, the contraceptive pills, and then hormonal rings, intrauterine devices like copper T, then injections, hormonal injections which can prevent fertilization, and then there is surgical sterilization like vasectomy, tubectomy in males and females respectively, right? And of course there are options like implants and various others. Like all of these are simpler methods, coitus interruptus and the calendar rhythm method, all of those. Diaphragm is also one of the most popularly used methods. Whatever it is very important that people are aware about all these methods, so that they can choose either one or a combination of these methods according to what is convenient to them, according to their living standards, according to their lifestyles. But what is basically the gist of this chapter is these are important. Awareness about these are important. Okay, so in case you have a question, 1 mark or a 2 mark question based on birth control methods, make sure you know all of these. Usually the most commonly asked one among these is the intrauterine devices such as copper T. Diaphragm also to an extent, but copper T and of course vasectomy and tubectomy are very commonly asked. Now if it's vasectomy, tubectomy, it can even come as a picture-based question. Okay, so with that we come to the end of the overview of the chapter population and its control. So here we go, sharing once again our 2019 amazing ICSE toppers, children who performed very well and have done their families and us proud. You can certainly be there, children, as I keep saying, with a little bit of extra effort, keeping away everything else. I wouldn't say sacrifice, but keeping away everything else, because your focus in the next few days should be exclusively on doing your best or as much as you can in your board exam. This is certainly, beyond doubt, big children in India, this is certainly the first milestone in your career. Although it doesn't probably label you as good for something or bad for something or anything like that, it's not really a good enough mark to give you that kind of a label. This is certainly a very important exam, so stay focused and do your best. And we, as I keep saying, are always here to support you. On this channel, Vedantu 9th and 10th, the 4 of us have been coming up with the ICSE Fast Track series, and as you know, for physics, chemistry, biology and maths respectively, we've been doing a lot of sessions in Fast Track so that you get enough exposure to as many previous year questions as possible from all your chapters, right? So make the best use of them. Do check out the playlist, which I will be showing you at the end of this video also. In case you've not watched them, you must make it a point, because that will certainly give you a better winning edge and help you boost your confidence before you appear for your exam, right? Okay, and now it's time for a quiz. The first question: the capacity of a population to increase under optimum environmental conditions is called dash. Is it biotic potential, carrying capacity, population, or population density? The capacity of a population to increase under optimum environmental conditions. What is it? Yes, and your time ends in 3, 2, 1 and go. The answer is biotic potential. Potential, or the ability to increase under optimum environmental conditions. Next question: a surgical method of fertility control in females. Vasectomy, tubectomy, condom, diaphragm. Surgical method of sterility or fertility control in females. Yes. This is very simple, because I think I've exposed you to enough kinds of questions based on this concept. So you should be in a position to say this very quickly. So your time ends in 3, 2, 1 and go. The answer is tubectomy. Vasectomy is in the case of males. Just think about vas deferens, fallopian tube, which is why the difference in the names, vasectomy and tubectomy. Okay, next one. Death rate is the number of deaths per 100 people per year, per 1,000 people per year, per 100 people per decade, or per 1,000 people per decade. What is a decade? 10 years, right? Deca. So what is the answer? Your time ends in 3, 2, 1 and go. The answer is per 1,000 people per year. The number of deaths per 1,000 people per year. Okay, now which of these is correct about hormonal contraceptives? Okay, hormonal contraceptives. What do? Does it prevent menstruation? Does it prevent ovulation? Does it kill sperm? Or do you think it's all of these? Hormonal contraceptives. Use your common sense and think about whatever you know, your basic understanding of these things, and you will be able to come up with the answer. Your time ends in 3, 2, 1 and go. The answer is they prevent ovulation, formation of the mature egg. Okay, which of these is an IUD? Okay, you must know what an IUD is to be able to answer this. Hormonal pill, copper T, diaphragm or a condom. Yes. And your time ends in 3, 2, 1 and go. The answer is copper T. What is it? What is the expansion of IUD? It's an intrauterine device. Okay. And the next one. The statistical study of the human population with reference to size, density and distribution of population is called dash. Is it the census? Is it demography? Is it statistics? Or is it ecology? Okay. The statistical study of the human population can be a little confusing, especially between two specific terms. Your time ends in 3, 2, 1 and go. The answer is demography. Between census and demography, you may have a confusion, but the answer to this is definitely demography. And there we go. Well done, my dear children. And we are done with the quick revision or the one-shot revision of the chapter Population and its Control. So yes, as I promised, here we go, the complete biology playlist, from which you can find every chapter of your ICSE Class 10. All of them have been covered, and almost, I think, more than 70%, close to 80-85% of the topics have also been discussed. Some of them which were not so significant. Of course, we did take your polls also in certain cases where there were a lot of concepts which had to be discussed and we were running short of time. So we wanted to make sure we focused on the most important ones. So based on that, I'm sure we've done justice in terms of covering at least 85% of your biology ICSE syllabus. So have a look at that and strengthen your concepts now before it gets too late. And again, diagram series, because section B has a lot of scope for diagram based questions. There are 5 videos that you can find in this playlist which will expose you to different kinds of diagram based questions from various chapters. Most importantly, it's plant physiology. Human physiology and anatomy also has a lot of scope, so do check them out so that you certainly are able to score every 1 bit of mark in section B. Okay. And then the fast track series, as I said, physics, chemistry, biology, maths, all the 4 subjects, every chapter, some of them have been clubbed. It's unit wise, which we've made the fast track series on. So do have a look at those also. If you haven't done it yet, they will certainly be very, very useful to all you ICSE children. And of course, we completely understand that exam season is not just about understanding your concepts and being able to write the answers correctly. To give your best, to give it your best shot, you need to be in complete good health, a good state of mind. What else do you require? You need to be free of stress. You need to be free of anxiety. Of course, a little bit does help. Completely being free of stress is also a very, very dangerous thing, children. So do remember that. There are even some children who send me emails saying, "Ma'am, I'm not at all worried about the exam. Is there something wrong with me?" Well, anyway, as long as it helps you do your best in the exams, I don't see any problem with that. But in case you are the other kind of child, you will find these very, very useful. All kinds of possible questions that students can think of during exam season, you will find the answers to them in this. It's a long playlist. Of course, you don't see all of them here. Please do check it out. You will get a lot of useful takeaways from those. And of course, if you have found this session useful, do remember to hit the like button now and share it, especially with all your ICSE Class 10 friends, because it is a chapter in one shot. We just have one more chapter left, which we will be doing tomorrow. And yes, do remember to subscribe to our channel Vedantu 9 and 10 if you haven't done it yet, because until your exams are done, until your very last exam, we will still keep coming up with a lot of creative content. Okay, so stay tuned until we meet again. Happy studying, and this is Ambika signing off. Bye bye.